This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So I want to get into Ric Flair a little bit here because he's booking during this time, and Mick has said Flair didn't really show much of a liking to his work, telling him you'll be in a wheelchair by the time you're 30 years old, Mick. Was Flair, in your mind, too much of a traditionalist to get this character, or is Flair right in thinking, hey, Cactus, you're already just giving your body way too much abuse?
Well, I think that Nate's had a good point. Moderation, and keep those moves, if you're going to do them, and Mick's going to do them, then lessen the amount of them and keep them special. So the ones that the audience sees are keepers, and it's not overdone. I said this a lot in talking to talents about timing and the pacing of a match. If you are wrestling faster than the audience can process what you are doing, you got to slow down a little bit. And that could be a half a step here, a half a step there. It could be registering, selling, reacting, but you've got to slow down a bit. It's no different than a stand-up comedian. I've used this before here on this show. If you're a stand-up comedian and you go out and do your set, you lead off with one of your best jokes, and then you tell your joke, and before you give your audience the opportunity to process the joke and react, you're telling your second joke, and you just wasted this first one. So I think that's kind of what Mick's issue was that sometimes he did too much. And I don't know that Flair was such a traditionalist in that respect. It never seemed like they got along that well. And I'm not so sure what it was. It just may have been a personality conflict. Have no idea. But there was some issues there that were not real positive.
Well, then another change happens, which isn't exactly in Foley's favor either. And that is Ole Anderson replaces Flair's booker. And then they don't really hit it off. Foley and Ole. There you go. There's two names, Foley and Ole. They don't hit it off. And so he gives his notice on June 10th of 1990. And that would be his last match for a while in WCW. Lost to Norman the Lunatic, there's a name, at a house show in Sunrise, Florida. And he wouldn't return until over a year later on August 11th, 1991. So, again, first it's he and Flair. Now it's he and Ole. Is it just a frustration with the management here in WCW? They don't see the potential in Cactus, or what are you thinking?
Well, I think those two guys wanted to influence Cactus, changing his style. They thought he was taking too many bumps and making it too hard to follow. And again, they make a valid argument.
Yeah.
They, meaning aren't pronoun boy. He said he beat him. Okay. But Ole would be more the traditionalist than Flair. And Ole thought Cactus was doing too much, making it too hard to follow, et cetera, et cetera. But the other thing is, as a booker, you got to look at the shelf life, i.e. the longevity of your talent. And if you got a talent that's taking all these chances, it's getting battered and bruised and beat up and staggering to the ring, but dragging a foot or whatever. I mean, seemingly always looking like Mick was in pain and was restricted. Then that Ole would look at that situation and say, well, we can't get any money out of this guy because he's not going to be able to work. And so Ole makes a valid point. I don't know if it was a deal breaker point, but it became a deal breaker. And Mick saw that he wasn't going to get anywhere philosophically with Ole. And so instead of engaging in a unwinnable argument, it might be best just to move on.
Yeah, and I think he takes that break for a year, comes back, like I said, August of 91. And it seems like this would be probably a good time for him to get away for a little bit, maybe, and try to figure things out. Maybe there could have been some stuff left on the table, but to your point, he's got to figure out how to work with this group or this team and see if maybe he can't figure out where his character's headed.
Yeah, he's got to change the way he thinks about some things. Compromise is a good thing if you're a sports entertainer, pro wrestler, whatever. You got to be able to compromise. And I think Mick finally, at different points in his career, adhered to that somewhat. But he didn't have any trouble staying booked. I kept in touch with him. I knew that if we had a chance to get him back, we would. It all depended on who was in the booking chairs and the creative components. But I always looked at Mick as a friend. So I kept his number and we'd text or whatever occasionally, but I knew at some point in time our paths would cross again.
You look at it in today's terms, in today's world too, some of these folks that have been released, these wrestlers that have been released from the big time companies, some of those individuals, if you talk to them today, would say those were that's the best thing that happened to them for their career. They've been able to reinvigorate themselves, rejuvenate their careers on the independents and rebrand themselves. And now they're making more money than ever. And so, sometimes you can use that downtime period. It's not, oh, woe is me. It's all about your mindset and attitude. And if you're willing to grow and learn, it can be a big, big push for you.
Absolutely. Growing and learning. Key words to live by in pro wrestling.
Speaking of keywords to live by and impactful and doing things that are right for you.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.